You can hear the desires ridiculing you. You ignore their scorn and continue forward. Within the throne room, the Queen of Woe awaits. The Queen reveals herself to be none other than Laddie. She is the undisputed ruler of this domain, indeed, this world. Her voice is husky, almost as if it had been... Her voice is husky, almost as if it had been swallowed by the stormy seas and echoes within your heads. She tells you that in the land of woe, greed is both grand and glamorous. For stealing the desires of my people, I sentence you covetous intruders to death, she decrees. The impact sends you flying. By the time you look up, you realize that the entire area is covered by a heart scar. This looks bad, Blight remarks in a trembling voice as he gets to his feet. A shadow, larger than any you've seen before, emerges from the heart scar, summoned by the Queen's screams. The shadow roars, its voice powerful enough to shake the castle itself before lunging at you. Come on, you got this. Magnificent. Magnificent. Unable to maintain its shape, the gigantic shadow begins to sway. This is it, you shout, and raise your sword in sync with Laddie's magic. But the queen appears and blocks your attack before it lands. This shadow is a manifestation of Laddie's greatest doubts. The queen worries over what will happen to Laddie's heart if that shadow should disappear. The queen decides to ask you a few questions to dispel the doubts at the heart of the domain's crisis. Wrong, the queen says with a laugh. How pitiful that you don't even know Laddie's likes and dislikes, she scoffs, before moving on to the next question. No, no, the queen exclaims with a laugh. How cold-hearted you are not to know what she fears, she chides before moving on to the next question. You have no idea, do you? The queen scoffs. The queen's desire to eliminate you is readily apparent. You don't know if there was a correct answer among the ones she gave you, but she has proven her point. Perhaps you don't know Laddie as well as you should by now. I cannot leave Laddie's heart in your hands, she roars. That raging voice transforms into a tidal wave that rushes toward you. Swallowed by the wave, the phantom onyx maiden and her attendant vanish. You're pulled under the tow only seconds later. When you come to, you find yourself in a familiar spire. It seems you were expelled from the heart's domain by the Queen. You see Laddie snuggled up to Lack near the altar. You decide to go check on them. Lack lies there limply, like a stuffed animal without its filling. The self-proclaimed spirit risked its life to save you. If you had been swallowed by the wave, your consciousness may never have returned. You give Lack your heartfelt thanks for saving you. Lack trembles as it tries to speak. Laddie gazes upon the injured Lack with concern. It's coming, Lack proclaims in a faint voice. And then, everything falls quiet. An odd energy fills the spire. You place Lack upon the altar and head outside to find the source. The sea falls eerily still, almost as if afraid of something. You realize that the strange energy you felt earlier is not only in the spire, but blankets the entire isle. Feeling a tap on your shoulder, you turn to see Laddie as pale as a sheet. She points, and when you turn to see what she's staring at, you find your field of vision filled by a monster so big that it pierces the clouds. It's raging toward you, tearing through the sea as it does. You can't believe your eyes, but you know you can't stand still. We have to evacuate everyone, you say, then make for the village. So the beast to end it all has finally reared its head, the old man remarks, calm despite the impending danger. Aside from the odd crying child, nothing seems amiss in the village. Nobody seems the slightest bit bothered by the monster. Omega Village, which has been without a maiden for years, seems overly accepting of its fate. You decide to speak with the mayor to learn how you might evacuate the people. You only hope he can be swayed. So the beast to end it all has finally reared its head, the old man whispers as he shuts his eyes. The time has come to say goodbye to these flowers, the young man says with a forlorn smile. Fearful tears stream down the little girl's face. You can't blame her for crying. "I'll keep living my life as I always have until the very end," she declares as she goes about cleaning the village. You all agree this is no time for a nap, and leave. It's been ages since you've seen the mayor, and yet he averts his eyes the moment you enter. Just like the other villagers, he seems to have accepted his fate. But why? You ask him why everyone is stubbornly just waiting for everything to come to an end. "Because that is this village's fate," Grieth answers simply. You ask him if there is a way to evacuate the village, but he tells you there is no way off the island. You ask the mayor about the giant monster. He says it is called the Isle Eater. According to the Maiden's myth, the calamitous beast has appeared since times of old to devour islands. You have learned nothing for all your effort. Perhaps feeling the same, Laddie rushes to the village entrance. You ignore Grieth, who tries to stop you both, and chase after Laddie. It seems unlikely that the villagers will flee the island, which leaves you with no choice but to slay the monster yourselves. The entire island is in grave danger. You refuse to flee on your own. You and Laddie board the Bon Bon and point the prow toward the Isle Eater. The calamitous beast towers before you. Its sheer size makes you realize that there was truth to the myth. To save the village, you have no choice but to fight it here and now. You know it's reckless, but still grip your sword tightly. A light flashes in the sky, and two figures appear. The Crimson Maiden Lavia and her attendant Gladio from Hero's Dominion. They claim to have seen the monster during a trade expedition and rushed over. You were joined unexpectedly by the Crimson Maiden and her attendant. With them, you may be able to save the island from disaster. You make for the monster's head and raise your sword up to the sky.